Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Resilient Lawyer podcast. We have a fantastic guest with us today, Paula McNicholas. She helps law firm owners scale their business with Formula One precision, maximizing profits, freeing up their time, and building high performance teams. Thank you so much, Paula, for joining us. We are very excited to talk to you about this specific topic. Also, having worked with time management and stress management on our end, it will be nice to hear from your perspective as well. Before we get into today's topic on how to perform like a Formula One team, tell us a bit more about yourself and how did you get into this specific space?
Well, hello everyone. Yes, well, I'm not a lawyer. I've actually got an engineering background from the car industry, so maybe that's the connection with the Formula One. I'm a big Formula One fan. I used to work in Rolls-Royce and Bentley and Jaguar Land Rover, starting out about 30 years ago. For the last 14 years, though, I've been had my own consultancy here, and I was working with all different sectors when I started and helping them, like you say, to improve their businesses, get next level, more profits, etc. Uh, then only in the last few years, I decided to niche down when everyone was, doing the pivot and, we're going international and we're online, as I am now. I chose the legal niche. And the reason I chose that was I had a lot of lawyers coming to me anyway. So, picking a niche, I thought, right, which ones are in the most need? And for sure, it was the lawyers in terms of their businesses because they may say to me, there I was being a really great lawyer, then I got made partner, and then overnight suddenly I've got this whole business to run and this team to lead, and I've no idea how to do that because that was never in the law school training. So hearing things like that made me think, well, these are the guys that I want to work with. I want to help to get the time back because so often in this industry it's almost acceptable that we work all the hours, we're always on call, we're never off. And I just want to show people that that is something they can change if they want to. It's a choice after all, that you can free up your time and have more time to do what you want to do in your own personal life.
Hmm. Now, so you say that lawyers actually came to you. So by chance, that was your market actually. So they came to you and you decided to go into that industry. Was there any resistance when you decided I'm going to focus 100% to the legal industry
But from
from the
my
lawyers?
from the lawyers,
Yes.
well, no, because they like it if you are sector specific. So
Okay.
so often I'm on calls and they say, well, I like it that you specialize in legal,
All
because I
right.
know a lot about it. Now I can talk the language and so they like that.
Okay. And the
Yeah.
mindset, to change, in terms of being so busy and working all the hours, how do you transition that mindset? Because for us in South Africa, we find there's still a bit of resistance, to change from being busy all the time to what you are mentioning, freeing up your time and, in doing things that you enjoy in your own time. Did you have any of that? And how did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's only the ones that want to actually change that I work with, obviously. But yeah, I think it's more their own confidence that they can do to make the changes.
Mm,
That would definitely be some things I hear. I'm not sure whether, I'm able to commit to these changes. I'm all over the place, so can I really be, doing changing the way I do things? Or I've been doing this for a good while, and this is a new thing, and
mm,
so just their own. Sometimes it was more their own confidence in their ability to, be held accountable, I suppose, in terms of the
mm.
changes that they had to make. The systems that they're putting in place. They
Yes,
can get
yes.
very comfortable in that uncomfort zone of the chaos. They're used to dealing with that, so that is their own comfort zone, and it's like, okay, so I'm doing something new now, and as a lawyer, they always want to feel comfortable, confident. I mean, in everything that they are
Yes.
saying and projecting to with the clients. So for them then to feel a bit vulnerable that they're trying something new, sometimes they think, gosh, can I actually do this? But it is all very simple. I think people think that, gosh, is this going to be something really complex, that I'm going to have to learn and get my head around. But when they get into it, they just like go, oh God, this is like really actually very simple, and it's like common sense, really. Why am I not already doing these things? So
Mm,
yeah, very, very simple changes there, but very effective. That you think,
yes.
why didn't I think of that myself before? Sometimes there's a bit of that as well.
And if you say, those simple steps, what are those few simple things, that one can start applying to free up, a bit of your time if you're so used to being busy all the time?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're going to get talking about that anyway. But one of the principal things, I suppose, is delegating. And lawyers don't like to delegate because they think, well, it takes time
Mm,
to delegate, and then things just keep coming back to me anyway. So I might as well just do everything myself. But that's the trap that they fall into then, that they're always doing everything themselves, so they never get time for anything else. When they've got a team there that could take these things on. So again, it's the confidence again. They're very much into uh, everyone working to their high standards. So when they don't, then they go, just this doesn't work for me.
mm,
But there is ways that the systems that you can put in place to delegate effectively so that these things don't come back to you. And that's something that they obviously need to to learn and take on. And it doesn't take months.
mm.
People think, oh, well, if I'm going to delegate someone, it's going to take a few months to train them, but it doesn't. There's ways and means of doing that's makes it simple and effective.
Mm.
Yes, Paula, I think with delegation, and I'm a lawyer myself, and the problem is obviously that, as you said right in the beginning, we were never trained how to do it. So you do fall into a firm and you just keep on running, processing, doing your work. And you're exactly right to actually initially just take the time to
Mhm.
delegate or to train someone. It feels so overwhelming because you're also busy that you don't end up doing it. But again, and we've noticed that on our side as well, it is actually just a little bit of training that you need, because there are ways and means to delegate. And I see you actually speak about Formula One teams. So you bring in the whole team and everyone is working in their optimal level. So you provide more than just delegation. Is there other steps that you bring in?
Oh yeah, that's just one of the common ones that they struggle with, that they want to master. I mean, when you're talking about Formula One, I mean, it is the ultimate team sport, even though a lot of people think it's just the driver, which maybe clients just see it as a lawyer and not the team behind. But yeah, I mean, when you talk about pit stops, it's the absolute ultimate in process precision, team harmony, and trust. I mean, really, they're just a sight to behold when you're watching a pit stop. I'm fully biased because I totally geek out on the, the pit stops. But yeah, in a lot of my trainings, masterclasses, and things like that, I show the pit stops, and people can get an appreciation for the absolute precision and the team working together. But when I'm talking about Formula One and starting to get people to understand how they can apply it in their own business, they always start with the race strategy. So, the teams have a race strategy, in order to win the race. So it's like, do you as a lawyer have a race strategy for how you're going to run your business this year? Did you set a race strategy for 2025? What are the things that you're going to do to actually achieve the goals that you've set? Um, in that, how they develop the race strategy in the Formula One teams, they've got, a lot of data. They collect data, they're running the car, they're getting some data on how it's performing. They need to understand them for the race. Okay, so what tires do we need to use? Depending on the track temperatures and the tire degradation, and the when are we going to come in for a pit stop? Based on that data, how many changes are we going to? We've got to have the team ready when they come in and change the tires. So there's all that stuff, and it's all based on the data that they've got. So when you think about a lawyer in the law firm, it's about knowing your numbers. where you are in terms of, where you need to be. Knowing where the matters are up to at any one time, who needs to be finished off and invoiced, and who needs to be followed up on, where are we in the kind of life cycle of that client to move them through from the start to the, when you get paid. So understanding these numbers, it's just not something that lawyers do. They might have a grip on their billable hours, but sometimes they don't. Someone in their own practice might not understand, in terms of the financial goal for the year, how that breaks down into how many billable hours they need to be doing a day. And that's really important, in terms of focusing your time and energy around getting the things done that you need to get done in the day. So yeah, everything around that race strategy, not only knowing your numbers, but then if you've got a team, they need to know what's going on. It's all about having clarity, not just for you, but the team in terms of what their focus is for the day. So putting those communication systems in place is also a big element of it if you have a team and you're managing a team. Even if you're just a lawyer with a couple of paralegals, or whether you're a partner with, senior and junior ones below you, or if you're a senior with your juniors, or if you're someone with a legal assistant, it's all the same in terms of how you're going to manage that work, get it done. Many lawyers come to me and they say, I'm good at getting the work in, I'm just not good at getting it done. So that's another kind of common one. We can bring it in, but it's just then, there's that much going on and the things keep coming in and they never actually get them over the line and get the money in, and leaving money on the table left, right, and centre. So again, knowing where everything is, if you're imagining the team, they're very up on knowing exactly what's going on so they can adjust accordingly depending on what's going on in the race. So race strategy is a big thing.
What's your thoughts around the billable hour? Because it's been something that we've been talking about with some, other guests that we have, because there's different strategies available in terms of, Sonia, if you can remind me, if it's like not membership, but like what did we call it?
Yeah, more like if you do value-added billing, because a lot of our guests and on our research, obviously also we've noticed that, the billable hour does cause a lot of the problems that you have in the firms, but universally, it's still probably the most used billing system there is. I would like to know, have you seen a change in Ireland on people moving more into value billing?
Well, I work with a lot of lawyers in the US, actually, US and Canada and Dubai and different places, but so very international when it comes to the lawyers. But yeah, I think flat rates are really the way to go where you can, with your transactional stuff. I mean, obviously it's different with litigation areas, but certainly that, the value-based pricing, and they're paying the market rate of what they're prepared to pay. But what's good about that, the more efficient you get, of course, then the better it is in terms of what that billable hour ends up being. So I've got there's a lawyer I'm working with at the moment in Boston in the US, and we were just running through that the other day. He's an estate planning guy, so it's a set of estate planning documents, trusts and things. So, he's actually put his prices up anyway because he realized he wasn't charging enough because people kept saying it was too cheap. So I said, well, get them prices up to the rate that you could be charging, really. Anyway, did that, but then in doing that, we've worked a lot on the whole, process of doing it, delegated a lot of the work to his paralegals. And, he just does a couple of hours out of the 5-hour process of this estate planning transaction. So, in doing that, I'm like, well, look, what your billable hour is now really, you're talking, it's about $900 or whatever for this, for the 2 hours that you're doing. So, isn't that great when you think about, putting in your billable hours, because it's part of the flat rate, you know, so your billable hour really, if you want to call it that, is actually a lot higher than what it would be if you were just, you know, charging your 350 or 250 or whatever it is, wherever you are. So yeah, I think if you can charge a flat rate and then get very efficient at doing it and delegate a lot of it off, you know, you're just bringing in the work and you're seeing it off at the end. That's really the way to go whenever you can.
What I'm hearing from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you look at each individual firm and you look at what they actually need within their setup. So it could either be a firm with 50 partners or one partner, as you said, with paralegals. Is there one specific formula that you follow, or do you have different strategies depending on, you know, the type of teams that you're dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, it's dependent on the challenges that they have. I mean, you know, it's as an engineer, you know, I'm a problem solver. So you're looking at what are the problems that are in the place, what are the root causes of those problems, some systemic issues, and then what do we need? You know, what new systems do they need? What new communication systems and leadership and all that, all those different strategies, and what do they need in order for this firm to get to the next level? And with my background, you know, being in the car industry, it was very into the lean methodologies, which is really what Formula One is based on, those same principles. That's why I like to talk about Formula One. You know, just getting down to a sub 2 second pit stop is all around using those lean principles. And so that's, you know, that's where I go with assessing where someone is at. You know, they can chat to me on a call and just tell me the challenges. I know exactly what needs to happen in order for them to get to the next level, because I can just, you know, diagnose that by talking to them, because I've done it for so long. And you know what the root causes of the issues are just from them telling you the surface problems, if you know what I mean. So it's just the way my brain works really as an engineer. Again, that's what makes me different, I suppose. As a coach, I can get to the root of the problem and, you know, work out really system-wise what's going on there and what needs to happen. So yeah, a lot of the strategies, you know, are, you know, based off certain principles. So yeah, you'd get like, you know, a lot of people delegate. So, you know, we delegate. A lot of people, you know, streamline in certain ways, or, you know, you might automate, or, you know, it might be a lot around the communication of the team, or it might be around the clarity of the roles within the team, you know, and having people performing to their strengths. You know, like someone who I was working with a lawyer in Canada there, and on her team, she had someone that was OCD, I mean, diagnosed OCD. And they were actually brilliant at all detail stuff, you know, and all the drafting of the documents. They weren't great client facing. So, you know, she used them to their strengths, you know, so they were great at doing all that, you know, that documentation work that they needed to do. But yeah, she knew that, you know, don't put them in the room with the client, you know, negotiate anything. So, because that's not their strength. So it's using people to their own superpowers. So again, it really just depends on what's going on in the firm. So you can cover a lot of different things, depending on, you know, where are the gaps that's stopping them getting to where they need to be, really. It's just addressing those gaps. You know, once you know what they are, then you can do something about it.
So what are some of the most common gaps or challenges actually that lawyers face, you know, that keeps them from saving more time, you know, being as effective as they can be? Like, what have you picked up from your experience is the biggest things, you know, that stands in their way to do that?
Yeah, well, always the biggest root cause of any issues within any business, to be honest, not just law firms, is communication. So having the right communication systems in place, having the right communication forums, you know, if you were discussing the race strategy, or, you know, just to get on the same page, is having that regular daily communication. And people say, well, I'm talking to people all the time. They're always coming to me with problems, you know, they never stop talking to me. But, you know, it's having that more formal structure in terms of the daily 5 minute, even if it's 5 minutes, to get everybody on the same page. And, what are we doing today? What are the plans for today? What's our focus for today? How did we get on yesterday based on the plan we had? Did we get everything done that we needed to get done? I mean, just simple things like that can clear up so much stuff for them to just go away and get the job done, rather than them coming to you all day long with random, questions across the day. You can get a lot sorted in that, initial 5 or 10 minutes in the morning, to get everybody on the same page. And then, like I say, the other biggest ones is around that delegation, and how they do that. But yeah, the clarity and having the systems around things so that things run smoothly, to get that consistency in place really is the thing. So again, with those communication systems, as I said, having visual systems, and so where everything is up to at a glance. That, are you ahead or are you behind? Are you on target? It gives you confidence as a leader, within the firm, that everything is on track, or where it isn't, what's actually being done to address it for you to get back on track. So having those systems in place, even the communication systems and the way that you get to know what's going on is a big thing. So yeah, that's usually where something's gone wrong. Something goes wrong, you go, okay, well, what's missing there? Was it, a lack of clarity? We didn't know, or we didn't have everything from the client we needed to get the job done. That person didn't know specifically what format they had to produce something in, or there's all manner of issues that can be around the lack of clarity, and knowing this had to be done by this time today. It's like, you think simple things, but these things just go amiss.
Yeah, the foundation.
Yeah, it's just having that like structure in there. So there's the clarity, and then obviously the consistency piece, which is the getting those systems in place, like what we talk about with the pit stop precision. But there's a process to follow, and it's standardized, and people are going about things the right way, and formatting documents in the way you want the formatting, and just like things like that. So there's those things, and even the way you speak to clients in terms of ensuring they understand the process of working with you, and when you're going to actually be communicating with them. Because a lot of the disturbances you get and distractions is clients ringing up going, what's going on? And if you can tell them at the start when you're going to be speaking to them regularly on where their matter is up to, then they're less likely to be calling you all the time trying to find out what's going on. So that's a big one. Just stops the calls coming in, which stops the distraction from what you're trying to do, which then helps you to actually focus on what you're doing to get the job done and get it out the way. The phone's ringing all the time and your WhatsApp's going, you can't focus and get something done. So it takes twice as long to do it as it should do,
Yes, 100%.
So,
to manage that expectations.
Paula, is there, when you set up the systems, do you do it that they do it manually, or is there any technology or software that you would promote, or do you look at whatever the firm is using and use that?
Yeah. It's honestly, like, a lot of them do have, software of some description, case management systems, and in some cases they're just not using it to, its full functionality. So, we'd look into that to make sure that they're getting the best out of what they have got. But a lot of the times, I can be into something that's very more simple and manual, just because sometimes in systems things get lost, and then people spend too much time having to update all these systems, and they don't. So therefore, what's in the system data-wise is not the reality. So how can we make it really simple so we just know exactly where we are, And sometimes that helps people to, get, because you can get teams and they just, you say, well, you've not updated your timesheets or whatever, you're not updating the documents of telling us where everything's up to. So yeah, if you can make that much simpler, then you're more likely to to understand where everything is in real time, as opposed to, whenever they get around to updating the system. So yeah, some people really don't like systems that are too cumbersome. So it's trying to make things as simple as possible, really.
Yes, I agree with that, because it does become too cumbersome, and then most people don't use it. There's something else you mentioned, which I also think is a brilliant concept, but a lot of firms don't necessarily use it, and that's actually to have a dashboard.
Yeah.
So that you can see where you're at, because so often you're aware that, something's creeping up on you, but you're not necessarily clearly have the whole picture there. How do you, or what is a good example of how you would actually set up a dashboard? Would it be something, again, that would be on a system? Would it be a manual board? What would you recommend they use?
Yeah, I absolutely go with the whole manual tactile post-its on a whiteboard. If you're all in the same office, it works wonders, honestly. And some people are like, I just can't believe this has changed my life. It's a whiteboard with some post-it notes. But if you structure it in the right way, it really does tell you exactly what's going on. And you've got the right columns. I don't know. I like to say I'm good at putting that together in terms of, some people say, oh, whiteboard, I've got a load of things written on it, and, it doesn't really mean anything. Or, we tried putting things post-its up of what was going on, but it's just completely the wrong way round in terms of it telling you what you need to know straight away. So structuring that in such a way that it tells you, like there's a column saying, invoice me. Like, oh my God, that's the priority today. Look at those guys. They're waiting there to be invoiced. I need to focus on getting them invoiced and out of the way. That's great cash flow. I mean, that's a very important column on the board, it's going to tell you exactly what's going on. But these various, because, you're looking at it as a process again, that kind of step-by-step thing, and planning out the board that way. So, what's waiting for you to do, or what's waiting for the client to do, where things are up to in the process, that it just speaks to you exactly. And it can really show you where the bottlenecks are as well, So you can even do that to see how people are loaded in terms of their capacity. If you're dealing with a team, how many, people are dealing with certain matters, the number of those and the size of those and the types of work. So there's lots you can do with post-its on a whiteboard. If you do it right, it really does tell you so much. And again, that's what you need. You need that data to just scream at you and say, this is what's going on. And often so much of that can be lost inside a system, and you don't know how to manipulate the data in the system to produce the report that you need it to, and that's where it gets lost sometimes. So really just bringing it back to basics on that. You can have your systems. Yeah, we're still going to have the systems. We're still going to have all our documents in with our client, and it's all very nice. All the detail, the nitty gritty, it's all in there to look and extract into certain clients and certain files and things. But just to be able to glance at what exactly is going on with the matters, across the board, there is really, it's just so simple, so effective.
Yeah, done right. Like you say, keep it simple. I think it's to design that template that you see on the board that is sometimes a bit challenging, but like you said, with your engineer brain, you just figure it out immediately, which is brilliant. Just a final question that I want to ask is in terms of time management, because we've done quite a lot of research on strategies and so on. Is there a few strategies or maybe one time management strategy that you find quite effective that you might teach others or even use yourself that you found really effective in this environment?
Yeah, well, usually I go through a piece like that when I'm working with someone one-to-one, where we design their ideal working week, and then we just go and implement it. And so you're like, okay, so we design this, like, oh yeah, this is what I'd like my working week to look like. And then I go, right, okay, that's what we're going to do. And they go, what? but it actually works in as much as when you get focused and intentional on the things that you should be doing and when you should be doing them. Where there is those issues, those interruptions, and I can't stick to my plan. I plan out my day, but it's not working. that's where, you then understand what those systemic issues are that are stopping you. It's those it's usually down to the management system issue that's stopping you from being able to stick to the plan. So for sure, absolutely planning out your day, getting your time blocks in there, really important. But then understanding where it's going wrong is the thing that then helps you to address how you're going to be able to keep staying on track. But just to merely have that intention, being more intentional with your time and saying, okay, I know I've got like a kind of 3 billable hours or a certain number of transactions or whatever I'm going to do today. And planning that in and scheduling that in and making sure that that is your main focus for the day. It really is just being intentional with your time and making sure these things get done. And like I say, if you are at that point of absolute chaos where things are just coming at you left, right, and centre, then there's issues there that need to be addressed. And I know exactly what those issues are going to be in terms of the management system issues, the clarity, the communication. It's just, it's like, that's why I like people to have the conversation with me, tell me what's going on in the firm, and then I just know exactly what they need to do to change it. And I do that very quickly. It's quite astonishing, the turnarounds and the speed at which they can get that change. It's people can't believe that it can be done, but it can be done. I don't know, the speed, the Formula One thing, it's just part of the brand,
part of
So,
your DNA.
Yeah. So, very quickly, just within 3 months, there's a massive difference. I mean, you can get better differences within a couple of weeks, whatever it is that you're trying to focus on, just knowing exactly what you should be doing to change it and then actually changing it. It's just like, wow, how did this happen? It's great. I just love it.
And that's why,
sorry, Marika,
No,
I just wanted to ask, and then do you have statistics on how long they continue with the implementation, or do most firms just stay with that, or do you get firms that actually reverts back to their old ways and then they adjust their systems again, or do people, once they on track, they stay on track?
Yeah, I mean, like say, if they've embedded those systems, then they're there for life going forward. If they didn't do a good job with the implementation, they're not going to stay. That's where you need the accountability with myself to make sure that you've got that implementation right and in place so that you can go forth and continue to grow and scale your firm. I mean, that's the beauty of it when I'm there to help them through that. But once those systems are in place and embedded with everybody, and you've changed those habits. At the end of the day, these are like habits, really. Systems, habits, the same. Really, it's really the same thing. So once those changed, and everybody's really into working that way, and people do enjoy working in that way because things do run smoother. Then they will continue to do that. It's making sure that you've changed things at a systemic level, not not just surface changes that are going to unravel. If you as leaders aren't on top of it, all the time. At the end of the day, it's a lot to do with the leadership as well. Doing what they say they're going to do, and walking the walk and not just talking the talk type of thing. But yeah, once it's in, it should be in, and then you just improve from there, really, as people grow and scale. And it's not like you don't have any problems anymore. Of course, there's always going to be problems to solve. But like say, you know how to go about dealing with these things. It's just not all like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. It's the systemic way of going through. Okay, we've got this issue. We're going to go about sorting it out in this particular way. So it's just changing behaviors and the way that you tackle problems when they arise, because you will always have challenges as you grow. Every time you grow to a certain level, and there's the next level of changes and challenges coming through. So it's understanding and knowing how to handle them as they do. So yeah, it's just changing things at that fundamental level and behaviorally and systemically,
And I guess, when you show them the truth or their eyes open up to the possibilities of how things can be done different, I guess you can never really go back 100% to how things were, because you now know better. and that's the difference.
Yeah.
Now, Paula, you work with clients across the world, it seems. You say you have quite a few clients abroad.
Yeah.
So if someone, that's listening now to this conversation wants to get hold of you, like, where do they go? Do you have a website that you can share with us?
Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn's the best place to
Okay.
get me on because you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and obviously I'm putting out content and things on there to help. And they can always reach out to me for a chat through LinkedIn because like I say, I'm happy to have a chat. You can tell me what the problems are and I'll tell you what the issue is and what you need to do about it. And my website is paulamcnicholas.com. Email paula@paulamcnicholas.com. It's quite simple that way. As long as you've got the right spelling down there, and I'm sure you will on your podcast on your YouTube. But yeah, you can find me at Paula McNicholas on LinkedIn, and you probably recognize me because I'm always in orange. My brand call is McLaren team, you see. So
Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's awesome. Thank you so much. This was really insightful. I mean, it's right up our alley. We do so much research on this, and we also share this type of knowledge in our workshops. And it's quite inspiring to see, how you are bringing about change, in the legal industry across the world. So well done for that. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Right. So thank you everybody that was listening and watching. Subscribe to our channel to see more insightful conversations in the future. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again in the